Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Alcini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red.Olaughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy, y'all. Red.Olaughlin here. Welcome to the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And normally every Thursday I'm a TV host, 3 shows in a row. This is the first. But normally I'm a researcher. I look into the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. And so that's what I research. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. And mostly in the area of longevity, age-related diseases, and things like that. So most of the stuff that I do in that area is all enveloped in my research. I have over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn and a half a dozen or so books. I'm working on a couple more right now. The other things I do is I publish books for people, probably over 50 right now for other authors. And with the TV shows that I do, we have one show that we dedicate to authors, another to entrepreneurs, and then I have another one that basically it's my professorial style of talking about the almost any aspect of health and wellness. What I'm talking about today is a hallmark of health, actually a couple of them. And we're going into the details of what are they, what causes them, what enhances them, what inhibits them, what can you do to help yourself. So from a perspective of longevity, we're looking at health, just as we spent the last 3 weeks looking at hallmarks of aging. Lynda Williams is my guest today. She's a Canadian author, a variety of different genres. Lynda, please join me up here on stage.
Hi, Red. How are you?
Exceptionally well, as always. Now, you're from Calgary, Alberta. Is that right? Is that what you said?
That is correct, yes.
And so you've been a Canadian all your life?
Yeah, I was actually born in Quebec, and I moved to Calgary in 2002.
Okay. And what got you into writing? What was the fascination about writing and then writing in books?
I like to blame my mother. She was a great reader, a lover of books, and she read to us from the time we were very young. And I started writing even before I could spell properly. So I always wanted to be a writer. That's what I said when people asked me, what do you want to do when you grow up? But like a lot of writers, I faced a lot of rejection along the way, and I actually set my writing aside for several years. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit that I returned to it. And thus we have the book we're talking about today.
Okay, we'll get into that shortly. So, in fact, why don't we just go to your website real quickly and pull that book up? Go here real quickly. And yeah, there's another Lynda Williams for those people who might be aware of it. One is a .com, one is a .ca. I made the error of going to the .com and planning for everything. But the book you want to highlight today is which one?
It's The Beauty and the Hell of It and Other Stories. I actually have a copy at my desk here if you'd like to see the
Go ahead,
cover.
pull it up and we'll take
Yeah.
a look at it. Let's go ahead and click on the website and see there too. And that reminds me of that looks a little bit like another cover I just saw a minute ago we were beginning to talk about. Okay, so you started writing this book when? COVID?
Some of the stories actually go back as far as 2008. And I was working hard at writing then, and I couldn't find literary journals to publish any of the stories. So I shoved them in a drawer. The pandemic happened, and I started seeing people posting on social media, that they had written a book, or that they had written a book and they had found a publisher for it. And I thought, why am I not doing this? I've always dreamed of doing this. What better time, if we're facing mass extinction, or if we just have this time on our hands, let's use it, right? So I applied to a mentorship program at Humber Polytechnic based out of Toronto. And that's how I got the book finished and revised and ready to send out. And that's how we have it today.
Okay, we were talking just before we started the show backstage about mentorship, and you attributed the success of getting this book written and completed through the mentorship with that program you just mentioned at the college. Tell us a little bit about that program, because it sounds like it's a pretty interesting one for others to know about.
Absolutely. It's a great program. It's correspondence, right? So you don't have to be in Toronto to take it. That's the first important thing to know. People take it from all over the world, and they pair you with a mentor. You work for 2 semesters together, so 8 months, and you're sending work. They're giving you feedback on your specific project. It's not like taking a bunch of creative writing courses where you're handed out assignments that may or may not be relevant to what you want to do, right? This is my project. This is how I take it to the next level. So you're taking the feedback they give you, you're giving them rewrites, and then it's a beautiful process where you learn more about craft. But also, I would say one of the most important things I got from the mentorship was a view on how to handle rejection, because that was something in the past I had taken very personally. Often writers have fragile egos, right? We feel that, if somebody doesn't want this, there must be something wrong with it. But often the case is with literary journals, there's so many more stories they receive than they can publish. It's a question of, have we published something like this recently in the past? How will this fit with the other stories we're going to publish in our issue? So rejection isn't even always an issue of the quality of your work. And you have to understand how subjective it is, right? So she toughened me up. She taught me that no is the second best answer you can get, because there is such a thing as a silent rejection. Nobody wants to be hanging in the wind.
Well, Lynda, I think you're the first person who brought up the rejection aspect of authors. Well, yeah, we have it, it's there, but I think you're the first person to actually go into some level of detail. And what you talked about is absolutely true. We have our babies, they're our books, they're our life. That's the best possible thing that we ever did. And then someone says, well, your baby's ugly. And that's not the rejection we want to hear. But you say, well, your baby's cute, but we already have 3 other cute babies that look just like yours already, and we've committed. And that's kind of rejection, but you can accept that a whole lot better. And so from that perspective, I think that's worth the price of admission today. because that's some really good information for the audience.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not something to get down about. It's not even that personal often. It's, yeah, you have to keep going. And once I started looking at rejection as something I wanted to accumulate, like I started setting a rejection goal for myself, that's when things started to change, because it's a batting average thing too, right? You know, Gretzky's quote about, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Well, yeah, he's right. It's the same with writing. You have to send your work out, and you're going to hear a lot of no's before you get that yes.
Okay, so the writing that you did with the mentorship, are the mentors people who know your genre very well?
Absolutely. That's some of the pairing process. Like, they ask you for your top 4 picks of mentors, and then they look at your sample that you submit with your application, and they try to pair you based on what's going to be a really good fit for the kind of writing you're doing and the experience that your mentor has.
Okay, so if you wanted 14th century Canadian sci-fi adult romance, there's probably not somebody there that's going to help you. But
That would be tricky.
But the mere fact that you have somebody who has experience in romance or young adult fantasy or sci-fi, you know, those genres are not necessarily the same, but you're looking for, as most stories, you're looking for a plot, a time frame, character development, locate. All of those things are the same. It's just not in the same verbiage, the same text that we use. So I can see I want to write a book about World War II, action, Dunkirk, whatever. My mentor may not have that expertise, but he may have enough history background to understand the little nuances of the characters to be developed, or the location, the sights, the sounds, the smells, and other things in there. What in the genre that you chose? How did you find that fit with your mentor?
So I chose literary short fiction, and I was really excited by my mentor's work. When I read her stories, I thought, yes, this is the person I want to be. I want to write like her. And the interesting thing about her stories, her name is Danila Botha. Her latest collection is called Things That Cause Inappropriate Happiness. They straddle the literary and the popular. You might call it dirty realism. It's very raw, very real, a little bit Dennis Johnson-like. So when I read that, I thought, this is someone I would like to learn from. And one of the most important things she taught me was to be more vulnerable in my work. I tend to write very sarcastic, snarky characters, and that can be an armor to hide behind. So learning not only craft, you know, in terms of plot, dialogue, all of those things, but also learning craft in terms of my own weaknesses when it comes time to revise was a huge part of the program.
Not having read your books, let me ask you a specific character question. Have you killed off any of your characters that would appear to be a major portion of the book, and all of a sudden they're not there any longer?
I have not, no. And I mean, there's a lot of death in the story, or in the stories, but it's people who have already died before the story starts.
I have a couple of authors I read, and also I'm reading, and the person's dead. You know, in one case bit by a snake, another case car accident, and was not expecting it. I mean, I had to go back literally and reread and oh, that character's no longer here, and sure enough, it wasn't in the rest of. But you were looking, and that you're really starting to get into that character and into the book and the plot, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore, and that a major shock to the system.
We get invested in characters, right?
Oh, we do. We absolutely do. Okay, so you wrote the book. How long did it take to edit it?
That was about 18 months. Like, the way it went is I would write a story, polish it, send it out to a literary journal, and move on to the next one. So I wasn't writing like a suite of 14 stories and then going back to revise it. So through that process of polishing one at a time, it was about 18 months.
Many of the authors that we have on here credit their editors with improving their ability to write. I assume that you found the same thing, that those editors just find those things in there and you make, oh my goodness, I don't realize I wrote that way. And so you have the ability to significantly improve your writing style. Have you
Ab-
noticed that?
Absolutely. I have to credit my editor with making me sound more intelligent than I am. There's so many things, even when you think you've sent in a very polished manuscript, that you miss, right? And it's just having those outside eyes, a different perspective, because there's a point with your own work where you've been over it so many times, it's very close to you, and you lose complete perspective. I like to say that when it comes to revision, distance is perspective. And you can get that distance by putting in a drawer and leaving it for a year, or you can ask someone else for feedback, right?
Do you use, or have you used the audio feedback? Microsoft Word is one I use, and I have my text read back to me, so I can hear it and see. The yellow brick road is going down every word as is being pronounced. Have you ever used that?
I have not, no, but now I'm curious about it. I think because reading aloud is such a huge part of revision too, but to have it read back to you again is a whole other level, right?
Yeah, there are many little tricks. When I is reading everything backwards to catch spelling errors. The When you read it aloud, you're still reading the words that should have been there that aren't there. But when you have somebody else reading it, now you have your ears that are listening, but you have your eyes that are following the text. And all of a sudden, there's a disconnect. You're hearing something, but it's not there, or it's actually there, but it's not what you intended it to be. And I found that to be, and again, it's a free tool on Microsoft Word. It's, when you go over into spell check, I think it's a third or fourth block at the top over to from that. So it's very easy to get to. You just put the cursor where you want it to be, hit that, and just sit back and listen.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Another quick trick that I mention periodically, not all the time, but one of the tricks that Hemingway suggests in his writings, he says, never finish a chapter on this, whatever you're doing. He says, you get to the end, you know how it's going to be, leave that last one or two paragraphs until tomorrow. You already know, just don't finish it. He says, in the process, you come back to it, you already know what you're going to do, and now you have a place to start and pick up. But if you finish everything, now you have to start brand new, and it may not necessarily flow as well. And I've been using that lately in some of the stuff that I've been doing. Okay, I want to finish it, put it to bed, and then I get back to it the next day or literally a few days later. And well, I need to change that a little bit, because I need to connect it to the next part of the next chapter or whatever it may happen to be. Is that something that you're aware of, or something that you do?
Now, that was something I'd heard before, and it's very helpful, I think, in terms of writing short stories, so you don't find yourself in a place where you get writer's block. Because the way I don't outline my stories, I know some people like to do that to know the ending before they even start. I write to find out what's going to happen. So if you don't leave yourself that little space of, I know where I'm going to start tomorrow, even if it's only a paragraph, I know that I'm going to be able to write. You can end up kind of locked into, what do I do next? I've driven my characters into this corner. How do I escape? And then, yeah, you have the blank screen, cursor blinking at you, writer's block thing happen. And that's just a bad situation to be in. So I think actually Hemingway's advice on that is spot on.
The marketing of our books is something that we're not specialists at. And we're coming up on a commercial break here in about 30 seconds, maybe less. And it's an area that I want to get into next. We talk about, your marketing. When did it start? Do you use social media? Do you use other avenues? And so kind of give some thought to that, because that's the direction I want to go into next. And then after the marketing, I want to touch a little bit on cover art design. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin a commercial break. Thank you.
Thank you.
From the magical world of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella comes a heartwarming new journey filled with kindness, courage, and compassion. Lady Ella, the beloved ladybug and listening mentor, is back, and this time she is not alone. Meet her brave and thoughtful brother, Lord Jack. Together, they take flight on their very first kindness adventure. Along the way, they meet 3 new friends in need: a duck feeling discouraged, a mouse struggling to be understood, and a busy little bee who's completely lost. But with the power of elevated listening and simple acts of kindness, Lady Ella and Lord Jack show us how understanding and empathy can make the biggest difference in someone's day. Written by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor, this 9th book in the best-selling Lady Ella series teaches children ages 5 to 10 the essential skills of listening, kindness, and etiquette. Now available for pre-order on Amazon. Scan the QR code and order your copy today.
Red.olaughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And our guest today is Lynda Williams, a Canadian author. Lynda, please join me back up here on stage.
Hi.
Okay, we write, we do a pretty decent job at that. We put everything together, but typically we are not marketers. Is that a fair statement in your world?
I'm terrible at marketing myself. Yes, that's true.
And we usually write our book, but we don't tell anybody about it. Then all of a sudden the book is ready to release. Now I got to start marketing it. And so we lose a lot of that time. Instead of 2 trains going parallel tracks, we have one and it gets to the end, it's published. Now let me start marketing. Tell us how your marketing has matured over time.
Well, you're exactly right. When I was writing the book, I wasn't thinking about marketing at all. I was pretty secretive about the fact that I was writing a book, because what if you start telling people you're writing a book and then you fail or you can't find a publisher? So that was my rationale. And looking back, it wasn't maybe the best decision. The best decision I've made so far was to find a publicist, which is how I came to be here today through Nikki Mickelson. I think if you're a first-time author and you're new to the marketing game and you're not with one of the big publishers, getting a publicist is a must.
Okay, so your marketing right now is via podcast, via today live TV. What other, do you have social media channels that you continuously update?
I do use social media as well. The thing I struggle with, I guess, with social media is being that regular presence, right? I mean, some people are good at every single day, they have a post up there. But I think it's when you're a writer, you want to strike a balance of, you know, I'm posting about, hey, this is what I'm doing. I don't want people to be sick of what I'm doing. You know, here's a picture of my dog. Here are some flowers. You want to break that up, right? Because people do get tired of hearing about the same thing over and over, right?
It's interesting. I was seeing something on social media yesterday about the Marx Brothers and one particular movie they did way back 30s or something. And they said the first 7.5 minutes there was 3-4 jokes. Then all of a sudden in the next 7 minutes there was 55 jokes. It's like OD on humor.
Yes.
If you're talking about you're ODing on a particular aspect, you're not allowing somebody to come up for breath and learn something new. You're just, as in writing a book, you want that up and down. You don't want that constant down or that constant up, because you're wearing out the reader.
Exactly. I mean, people are interested in your book, but they're also interested in, hey, there's a person behind it who wrote this. What are they like?
Cover. You had the cover of your book there a moment ago. I want to come back to that because there's
Yes.
another aspect that we need to talk about. Would you show its cover again? Okay. The beauty and the hell of it. Now, you said that earlier, one of the focuses that you wanted to make sure we talked about today was mental health. I'm going to turn it over to you for a moment and just tell us how you want to focus us on that.
Okay. So mental health is something that's really shaped my life. And I guess more accurately, I should say mental illness. I've lived with mood disorder for my entire adult life. And that has really shaped the person I am. It's shaped how I see the world. And it's also basically be my topic in terms of the thing I come back to with all of my stories. A lot of the women in this book are dealing with grief or are dealing with trauma, abusive relationships, that sort of thing. And that impacts our mental health. So there's a dance happening there between how do I live as a person in the world with these horrible things and the expectations the world has of me as a woman. How do I live up to those? How do I push back on those expectations? That was where I was writing from, that place of, this is the thing that has shaped my life. I think it matters to other people too.
Okay. And you had mentioned another person, a friend of yours that was involved in this particular book. Is that something you want to talk about or just pass on?
I'd love to speak to the dedication for a moment. It's dedicated to a brother and sister duo, Heather and Sean Connell. And unfortunately, Sean died by suicide several years ago. And when I was making out the dedication, I realized I had written a book that involved so many brother-sister relationships. And I thought it would be a great way to honor theirs. And also to recognize the importance of talking about suicide, to use it as an entry point. I know sometimes we think if we bring it up, it might be giving a suggestion to people or saying that it's okay. But really what we want is to open dialogue and open conversations about this, because if somebody's been having thoughts about something like that, we want to be a safe person and a safe place for them to share. We don't want to be shutting down the conversation. So that was my thought with the dedication.
Okay. When I publish books for people, usually the one thing that always stops the process is the book cover. For whatever reason, I have more book cover issues than I have any other kind of issue. With your book covers, who does those? How do you get them done? And what is your general assessment of the covers?
Okay, so I'm with a small publisher in Canada called Guernica, and they have freelance graphic designers they use for their book covers. So they're just very great about the cover process, because they pair you with the graphic designer. You have a conversation about your vision for it, and then they do a mock-up. They get back to you. You share your thoughts on the mock-up, and then once you've said, okay, I'm happy with this, they pass it on to the publisher, who gives it final approval. Okay.
We were just talking a minute ago about inundating social media with the same stuff over and over again. One of our viewers wrote in, research shows that it takes 7 to 10 times for someone to see something for it to resonate and for them to take action. And that's so true. I can't tell you how many times I've been in networking meetings or webinar seminars, learning events, and you hear something and you hear something and you hear something and you hear something, and then all of a sudden you hear it again and it makes sense. But it always made sense, but now it makes sense. And it is. The repetition needs to be there, but so does the setting in order to connect with that part of the brain. Aha, now I fully understand.
Absolutely.
So you get the covers, they come in, boom, the publisher takes care of it. You have Mickey Mickelson, Creative Edge, takes care of your publicity. You supplement a little bit with social media. Couple collateral questions. Do you use AI for anything with regard to your development and writing?
I do not. I am very anti-AI because I feel it's ripping off artists, whether they're musicians or writers or visual artists. I'm very upset that writers and artists' work is being used to train AI models, but there's no credit given to them. There's no money compensated. So I absolutely abstain from AI.
Okay, but AI is a tool. It's just like a hammer or a screwdriver. It depends on how you want to use it. If everything looks like a nail, the hammer is going to take care of everything. But I use it in a number of different ways. because I do such a fair amount of research into the human body at the level, I need research I can't find just by going to Google.
Mhm.
And so I find that from a research perspective pretty well. But I get done, I can't tell it edit my book because it'll take 20 pages and give me 2 paragraphs. It's edited. That's not what I want either. But if I want to take it and say proofread it for 7th grade level, it does a beautiful job at being able to coax out some of those words that don't need to be in there. And I find that to be of immense value because it's my intellectual property that somebody else is tweaking from a objective perspective. And that's maybe too objective, too dry sometimes. So I find that it does have value. It's just, how do you want to use it? I have used it with 2 clients where, let's say that Lynda wants this cover on this book to be this. And so I go to AI, I get 5 different covers done, and I give it back to Lynda, and she's, I like number 2 and number 3. So now I can take number 2 and number 3 and send it to a designer and say, here's the basis, here's what else needs to be done. And so I find that it makes cover design, when you don't know what you want to do, very quick and very easy and very succinct, because it hones in on exactly what you're saying. And you get feedback. No, I don't want the tree taller. I want the fence, whatever. And you have the ability to use, again, a tool, not to create the writing, but to assist in the cover design or some other aspect. If I need to know about 14th century Canadian sci-fi, then I can go there and find out, well, there isn't any. Okay, fine. Now I know for sure there's not. Well, I could probably find that on Google or something. But regardless, I think there's a lot of opportunities, but it's, again, how you use it. And in most cases, it's more about how you ask the question than it is about using it, because what you ask it's going to give you it. And it's not always the best answer to the question. It's not always the most accurate. So I do my research. I'll ask the question 3, 4, 5, 6 times of something. Okay, now that's what I want to see, because I didn't know how to ask the question to begin with. So I think it's a very valuable tool for us authors in many regards, but not necessarily in writing the book for us. No, I agree with you totally on that. We have no disagreement. But in using the tool to improve the book, I think there's a lot that can be used. Just my opinion there. Audiobooks.
I think they're a beautiful thing. I consider them reading. I think for me, it's a question of accessibility, right? I mean, if you have vision problems, I know I have a friend who's chronically ill. And again, for her to stare at a page, I mean, the words just blur, but she reads more than I do because of audiobooks. Thank goodness for audiobooks. I don't think they're going anywhere. I don't think they're going to take away from the written word either. I don't think hard copies or e-readers are going to disappear because of audiobooks. I think they're a beautiful complement.
A couple, 3 or 4 years back, I sent my son several books on a series that I liked. And he says, Dad, don't send me any more paperbacks. Send me the digital book, not the audiobook, but the ebook. And again, it's just people, I like to have that physical thing in my hands. That's just me. I took my wife to the doctors this morning. I had my book in my hand. I could feel it. There's a comforting factor there. And again, I have my camera, my phone. I could do something, and it's just not quite the same transmission for me. Again, I'm a little bit older than the norm out there, so my habits have been very well ingrained over time. Languages. You're in Canada. Is your book available only in English, or you also have plans for it to be in French?
It's only available in English. Maybe I can persuade French people that it needs to be in French. That's down to my publisher if we can sell the rights.
Sell the rights? I don't understand.
To translate it into French.
You're familiar with a company called Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com?
Oh, I see. I hadn't thought that they would translate it.
Well, I never knew it either. And I was in there the other day and I was looking for something. Let me just check. And sure enough, they have it. They have very experienced people who do it for a living. They turn it around very quickly, and it's based on the number of the words of the book you have. And so it's something, I don't want to spend thousands of dollars to have somebody translate my book. I'm not going to get any return on my investment down the road. But if it's just a few $100s, well, maybe I might want to take some of my shorter books and have them done. So that's an area that you might want to think about, talk with Mickey about. Test drive one of your shorter books. It doesn't take much money to have done. They'll translate it for you in whatever. I don't know if there's a vernacular difference between Continental French and Canadian French. I know there's a major difference between Continental Portuguese and Brazilian Portuguese, but I'm not sure about the French. I have to assume there's going to be some.
It's a huge difference, actually, yes.
Do you speak French?
I had to go to French school for 5 years, but having lived in Alberta for the last 20, I haven't had a chance to practice it. It's amazing how fast you can lose a language when you're not using it every day.
So true. So languages. Publicist, you decided to go with Mickey. What was the reason that you decided that you didn't want to do your own marketing and you were willing to consider an outside source?
Partly just knowing myself and knowing my weaknesses. My husband tells me all the time that, you don't sell yourself enough. So I went to a conference last April, and that's actually where I met Mickey, and he was speaking, and he was talking about branding and how, as a writer, it's not your book that's your brand. You are the brand. And I thought, hey, this person is someone that I would like to know better. I like his take on things. And so we had a Zoom call after that, and that's how we got connected. And just working with Mickey made me appreciate the one thing that you don't have when you're starting out, which is a bunch of contacts. That's something, if you work in the industry longer, maybe you can get for yourself. But one of the things you're paying for with a publicist is the contacts that they have worked to build over years.
Okay. We're getting toward the end of the show. How do people reach you? How do they buy your books?
Okay, so in America, you can get it on Amazon.com, or you can pre-order from Barnes & Noble. It's being released on September 1st, so that's for pre-order. If you're in Canada like me, you can get it at Amazon.ca or from Chapters and Indigo.
Have a particular way that you want them to reach you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'm a little less present there. I'm also on Blue Sky as Lynda Williams author.
Okay, and we mentioned at the beginning of the show, there is another Lynda Williams, also spelled the same way, as a .com, not as a .ca as a website. And both are authors, and both are out there in the world. So it's a uniqueness sometimes you have. But Lynda, thank you so very, very much for joining us today on the Corner Bookstore. I look forward to our next conversation, and just have a fantastic, wonderful time and enjoy life. Take care.
You as well. Thank you, Red.
Okay, red.olaughlin here. We're wrapping up the Corner Bookstore today with Lynda Williams, Canadian author. And our next show is called The Wise Ones. And my guest, I think, is Tricia Copeland, if I remember right. Also another author. And then I have a show of my own right after that called Talking Heads. And I'll be talking about hallmarks of health. We talked about 2 of them last week. We're going to talk about another 2 this week. And we're looking at what is the cornerstone, what actually is the cause of health, good or bad, and what can you do about it? And so if you know, fine, this and this and this and this, if you do them, they're going to yield this result. Maybe you don't want to do them. Maybe you do want to do them. But if you don't even know they exist, how do you know if you're even doing them or not? I mean, so many bad habits we have in life, and we just keep doing them. So anyway, I'm there for clarity, for awareness, for education. And please join me if you can here in about 20 minutes on the USA Global TV and Radio Network for The Wise Ones. And then an hour after that, I'm going to be on the same show, same network, USA Global TV and Radio Network. And the show is called Talking Heads. Catch you all next week. Take care. Bye now.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCram-Perkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.